That's right. One of the most highly anticipated Steam games of this year is getting a major update. Manor Lords, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is getting new maps confirmed. Oh yes, indeed. Major breaking news. Just about over 24 hours ago, Greg, the maker of Manor Lords, on Twitter basically posted a thing that said, yeah, I'm working on new maps, and so there's the news. But it goes much further than that, and now brings up a lot of questions, and we'll have to see what will be taken into account when it comes to Manor Lords' future and what we'll see. So let's discuss, and let's talk about Manor Lords' future updates, future maps, and future features. Let's go. Hey, we're coming in with some Tavern Banger, one of our old school favorite songs, and also an old school save. This is from April when I was playing the game for the first time and conquered the map. So what does a new map for Manor Lords look like? What does it feel like? What does it feature? What are the differences of it? What makes it stand out? Well, first of all, the original map of Manor Lords, the early access map, gorgeous. Like drop-dead gorgeous. The game's upgrade to Unreal Engine 5 and all the details to all the trees looks beyond impressive. And off in the distance, more rolling hills and even a skybox that looks like it fits in that. It could also be a part of the map itself, as in not necessarily a skybox, but just an area we can't build that still has this level of detail that we're viewing from afar. Now, in future versions of Manor Lords that go beyond the save, of course, little fish ponds will pop up. So there is some randomness to where bodies of water will pop up. And I would love for a big O lake in a new map. Of course, this map actually does feature a little body of water. I don't know if you knew this, but there was a little stream that went down all the way across the whole map, kind of cutting it down the middle just a little bit on the right side if you're facing, looking at the enemy to the north. And it goes through one of the provinces here, or districts that we call Wentworth. Yeah, JG, Wentworth 877. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, so it's a beautiful, landmark, but there's not really any bridge that goes across it. There's a few river fords, and that's about it. And there is some really interesting landscape, though, for battles that go along this river. Like, for example, right up here, you have the high ground and can attack the enemy as they try to come through here, this large clearing. So I would hope for much larger rivers that went into maybe a lake and then back into a river, something along the lines of a game by the name of Ostriv. If you have not heard of Ostriv, O-S-T-R-I-V, it's a Ukrainian word for river, and is made by a Ukrainian developer as well. And that developer is amazing. In fact, made Ostriv well before even I heard of Manor Lords, and had one of the first games that I saw city builder-wise that blew me away with its seasonal changes. And so a map like this, right now it is June of our 5th year or something like that. Wow, 11 years. Holy crap. So I was playing this map for a very long time. Look at how beautiful the map is too. I mean, just an incredible amount of detail to the map in the cities, and just imagine what the landscape will look like. Now, one thing you might not know, in addition to that little river, so there's actually a cliff in this map too. In the upper left corner, if you're looking at the maps where all the names are facing upwards like this, there's actually, in this kind of corner, there's a cliff. And so I would love to see some more impassable terrain, really for, 1, more creative city building, 2, for defensive structures, and 3, for more interesting battles too. I mean, if the enemy had a city up here, you couldn't directly siege it this way. You'd have to go around to where they probably likely had built a castle. So when sieging and castle building and more things like that become a feature in the game, which, by the way, remember, this thing has, right there you see it, open the castle planner. Hopefully we should be able to build castles one time. And I'm starting to think of Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? We got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 coming soon, and I want to build some of those beautiful castles of the Czech Republic of today, but in, here, wherever the maps happen to be, whatever landscape that we get. Now, we also have to think about different seasons too, and so if in the future Greg is going to deploy features which we see now, like, for example, small ponds freezing over, it would be interesting to see some rivers maybe freeze over the top and be passable, which is unlikely, but also lakes, which is much more likely. So if we have a river that passes through a lake, it'd be interesting if some of it froze, or if a lake was kind of just off to the side and connected via a stream or something like that, and it would freeze too. So we've got a lot of interesting landscape that could be a thing in this game. We have gorgeous rolling hills, lots of wonderful highland. One of my favorite spots to build in this game is right over here in this corner, building a map on the map where I think it's the highest point of the map, a church in the map. And this section, I believe, is the highest point in the whole map. You can see everything from here. So I'm pretty sure that this is the highest, if not one of the highest, maybe over here then, would be the highest points in the game. So I have really loved building along these rolling hills, and to be able to have more sloped landscape would be good, but also large areas for clearing and farming would be interesting too, and maybe more game mechanics that would bring along abandoned buildings. I believe in this version of the game there was some abandoned buildings that we could fix up. Like there's a destroyed little windmill here that could be fixed up, as well as a small granary. So it implies that there were settlers here before us who didn't quite make it, as well as a few buildings that did appear here long ago that have been removed. Unfortunately, there was a building here that is no longer there that I built a settlement around that kind of looked like almost like an inn or a tavern that was along the King's Road or the King's Highway, which was really interesting. Now, another great thing about Manor Lords that you might not think about is cutting down endless amounts of trees to build villages. I've recently started to build villages here in this area by cutting down all the trees and then trying to build a fort up here on this side. But being able to clear land for farming and for towns is really cool too. So if we could get a map that's well thought out for that, it would be amazing. As well as a port town. Now, I don't think we're ever going to get river traffic or boat traffic, and if we do, I would love to see a river for that purpose. At least to just kind of fake to myself, like, hey, we've got a village built up against the, against a river, so they must be trading. But in addition to that, I would love to see that for fishing, different types of fishing. Maybe the small fishing hut to be able to go to those fishing ponds, but a larger lake that could be a lot more easily replenished and have a lot higher of a limit. For example, it's like when you find those rich deposits with animals, right? Standard in the game, you find wild animals that go up to 20. A rich deposit, though, what is that, 25, 30? And there's also some perks that you can get for your cities where you can actually have them be able to be replenished a lot faster. So, yeah, like, for example, with the fish keeping, I think there's something that makes it so you can fish year-round and that there might be a higher limit or something like that. But it's also the same with, like, advanced skinning, where the, actually I think it might be under trapping. Oh, and there's also this, too, a thing to consider: policies. That's what I'm thinking of, is the hunting grounds, where animals will breed twice as fast, but, of course, because there's more wild animals, they might eat your crops. And also strict fasting, too. So there's a few different ways to get, like, to kind of produce more food, but I would like it to be a natural thing in the game, rather than setting a policy, or rather than, taking advantage of having to build something, just build something different because of the landscape. That's all I'm saying. So it is very difficult already in this game to be able to have a lot of food to feed everyone, even with wild animals, even with pigs, even with chickens, even with goats, and being able to have, like, milk and eggs, and of course fishing now, allowing us to also create at the butcher you can make sausage now, and also salted fish. So there's ways to preserve food. I would like more ways to produce food too. So it'd be interesting if we had some maps that maybe had different things to gather aside from wild berries. A game that comes to mind is Farthest Frontier, which allows us to go out and forage for greens and onions and mushrooms and things like that. So it'd be cool if the forager had a lot more food variety as well. And now I know these maps are like these this is basically your map for a city, right? You're kind of condensed to building in this area, but still it would be really cool if there was some sort of way to get a variety in your diet. And just really excited. I'm excited to, like, gather everything in the game, make everything in the game, almost like Anno, where you start to produce every weapon there as crossbows, bolts, and even if you're not using them, it's fun to make those things and then export them. And again, also to take advantage of those hard to find and sometimes really beneficial deposits. Like, for example, wild berries. I one time had a rich berry, I think it was maybe even a double rich berry deposit, and I could not actually gather all the berries. Like, with 2 foragers and a granary, and people picking year-round and trying to use all of those in order to make dye and food, it still wasn't enough people. So I was dedicating, like, an entire farm's worth of people just to foraging. So that was really cool, and a different way to live rather than just constantly farming and trying to make meat all the time. So it would be neat if the maps had, not only a new map with, like, a large river or a lake or something separating it, but also some cliffs, and then also some things that could only be found in certain areas of that map. So maybe there's a chance for things to spawn near the cliffs, like more iron or something like that, or a whole new resource because we're in a whole new area, and maybe even the option to build, like, how Poland has a lot of those crazy salt mines. It'd be really neat to be able to build something like that. We would never see it, but again, it would be cool to be able to build, like, a monument or some large structure that goes beyond that on those cliffs. So again, building a city up on the cliff here is cool, but maybe building a cathedral eventually, or building a defensive wall into there. I'm blending both the thought of what I want the map to look like and also what I want the future game features to do. If those are built, if the map is already built into considering what might come in the future, that's a hand-in-hand win. It's not an afterthought. I think the maps have been well thought out in advance, meaning that I'm sure there's been a lot of time put into them, and I think there's going to be other features coming to that. And so I'm just kind of predicting and really just hoping, like I'm throwing it out there saying that this is what I hope it's going to happen with my fingers crossed. And, I know nothing other than that they're being worked on and that I'm very excited for it. So I hope to see more ways to gather stone and other things other than just being a random deposit on the ground, too, going back to what I said about cliffs, where it would be guaranteed, right? Like, this is a source that could be mined. And it would be really neat to be able to either use this as a way to get all your stone for your defensive structures or to literally fortify this, or to have, like, silver or something be in there. And then another way to get some money in your treasury. Wow, look at that. 88,000 and 1,600 in the royal tax. Damn, I know what's up. What's going on here? Disconnected roads? That must have been something with the update. Yeah, so another great thing about this game, too, is looking at this build from April of 2024, and now it is October. With all the updates to the game, it still seems, for the most part, playable. And really a great idea to come back to some of the previous maps, too. And so when I build in a new map, I'm probably going to maybe not come back to this map for a very long time, and it'll be interesting to come back to an original save and see how the integrity of the early maps are versus, day one, and versus like new map updates, and then compare them with the new map of how that's taken care of as well. Will there be differences in the maps where the map itself won't be able to, like the older map will be too outdated and won't be able to be as fun because it needs to be updated with new features? That kind of thing. Like I mentioned, some of the things about fishing and whatnot, if people are really liking a new map that has lakes and rivers and waterfalls, maybe that would be amazing. I'm thinking, again, picturing all the beautiful maps from Stronghold in my mind where you're building up in the mountains and there's like mountain passes that would be incredible to defend and to fortify, and maybe scenarios in the future too that play out like that as well. Challenges where it's like, hey, the enemy's coming in 5 years, there's going to be a massive onslaught, try to build what you can. Having a custom map maker or the ability to make our own maps too in the future would be great for that, so people could recreate, modders could recreate great strategy game campaigns, including Stronghold, the whole Stronghold campaign or something in Manor Lords. Now, it, of course, will be up to Greg to eventually release those things, and that's when he's very satisfied with his own maps, and that's quite a cool thing. And, man, there's some incredibly talented people out there, though. I'm just saying, beyond the sky is the limit for Manor Lords. Seriously. Just an incredible game. I mean, just to look at that. Imagine walking into a new map, building on it, and then taking a walk around. Or hopefully we get horses one day. And another thing, bigger maps would be cool too. Not only just bigger maps, like in general, like the whole size of the map, but also like bigger counties to build in, and then more rolling landscape to look into, which would just be incredible. It would just be quite the sight. And yeah, shoreline maps and river maps and big maps and small maps, maps with river crossings and mountain passes and with ruins and things that you can rebuild or possibly excavate and build onto. It would be incredible to find like a map that has an old castle and you can take that over and then rebuild it and make it your own. That's a really good feeling to be able to do that. I don't know. Let's walk around some of our old cities here though and just picture this being a new map in Manor Lords. Like you wouldn't be able to tell, I think, at the distance of first person or third person, but it would have to be a top-down thing. And yeah, all the different weather effects in a new map would be hard to tell unless we're next to something that has a landmark. So if we want to play the game in terms of respecting its beauty, I think we've got to see mountain passes and waterfalls and lakes and rivers and cliffs and things that we can walk, up and down and build like a road on the side of a mountain. Something like that would be just really neat. And I don't think we'll get any sort of terraforming that goes beyond maybe slight terraforming. If anything, the only terraforming that might go on is maybe the ground is leveled a little bit or lowered somehow for some of the structures to be valid, but for the most part, everything is done by the foundations of this game. Like, for example, if a granary or a house is built, like you see right here, they'll make a huge foundation. Look at that. That's the size of the outhouse. And that just looks right, too, that they haven't really put any effort into terraforming. And it would be interesting, though, if they kind of built a cellar down there. I mean, that's a huge area to put, like, a shed below the house. Man, you got to get a ladder to get in your own damn house. That's off, obviously, but look at how good it did. Like, it was pretty close. I've seen things way off with effort, and this just seems like the game systems tried to do the best it could, and it came within a believable number. So, Yeah, really amazing. Now, if we're going to get new regions, what might also be interesting is different homes, maybe different churches and styles to build in too, where there could be customization for these buildings. Imagine being able to click one of X design or being able to click on the walls. I think the map for me brings up not only the strategic aspect of building a house and then or a town and all the houses and then doing military battles, but also wanting to feel like I'm maybe in a different place. And, you know, I don't know where this game will go, but if we're getting new maps, I'm assuming all the basic game modes will be available, but also I think that's welcoming for new game modes that could have the same scenario but slightly different. A different king with a different baron who's going rogue, that kind of thing. So, I don't know. The sky is continuously the limit for this game. Before the new maps are out, I'm sure there's going to be some other features out that will add to the base game already. Things like maybe more animals, more crops, and more ways to do things and rebalancing. So I think it's going to be a while until we see maps, but I think it's going to be a very worthwhile wait. So I think it's probably something we've all wanted since day one is, oh, there's only one map? Well, to be fair, we've all, I mean, I think everybody who's played probably this 100 hours of this game has probably tried to take over the whole map in one game. Maybe you've restarted a few times, but with the base goal being to try to populate the map, whether or not you did it with the Baron on the map or whether it was the prosperity mode where you were just trying to settle these lands, I think everybody tried to build more than 1 or 2 or 3 cities. And so that brings into the question, if we can build multiple cities, can we then utilize the landscape to be able to trade amongst those cities? Right now, if you can recall, there are oxen who transport logs around, right? There's the horses that will transport goods to be traded and picked up and dropped off at the trading post, and then also there are donkeys, mules, that will then bring things between cities. So I would still love to see more options in that way, to where maybe we could ship something down or upriver to another city and trade amongst ourselves by just making deliveries that way too, to feel like there's a more domestic economy and a strong economy too, where iron could be mined at one city and then brought upriver or downriver, or logs could be brought downriver too. That'd be incredible. Imagine that, if there were logs being brought downriver and then being processed at a sawmill that could take that water power into account. And that's another thing too. Even games like Dawn of Man, an ancient caveman city builder, took advantage of the water. Here we have windmills, but imagine water mills. And we've seen this in Ostriv too, where iron processing and bread making and other things of that nature are all taken care of via water power. And hell, even timberborne and ways to maybe use reservoirs. And, of course, historical accuracy first. If these things didn't exist, that's totally fine. But I think we should try to shoot out all the ideas that we can and then just start going through things and being like, well, that doesn't seem very balanced. That might be a little impossible. That didn't actually happen, that kind of thing. So definitely dream big. You know, shoot for the, you know, the stars or whatever, and the moon, or however the hell the saying goes. I think it's something about, like, all of this just works from Todd Howard. Isn't that right, Todd?
All of this just works.
Oh boy. All right, maybe I should stay away from Starfield because this is something a little different. But, I mean, just look at the beauty of these homes and these doors and things like that. Hopefully we get more roads, too. And going towards what I'm saying again about the beauty of the map, the buildings, no question that these are some of the most beautiful buildings that I've ever seen in a game. I mean, this could be Kingdom Come Deliverance with how incredible some of these buildings look. I mean, you could plop it. Somebody could take one of these buildings and put it in Kingdom Come and mod it in there, and it would just fit perfectly. So, an absolutely astounding game that definitely needs a lot more time, but is definitely playable and fun now. The number one thing I hear from people now is that they've gotten bored of the game. They've done everything there could be to do. They played the hell out of it from April through May and June. They came back maybe in July or August, and now they kind of want some new stuff. And I think that's why the maps are coming around. And to build the same stuff over and over again in a new map would actually lure me back in. I would love to see a new territory, and I would love to see the Baron be more rebalanced. I still think he's way too aggressive and takes over too much of the map too quickly, even on the easier settings, and players don't actually get a chance to build in other areas other than the starting areas because they don't get a chance to interconnect the cities because the Baron just is too aggressive. If you're doing it in city prosperity mode, then there's not as much conflict, but of course you can customize the game to have bandits, and maybe that'd be another interesting thing to see would be bandits coming in via boat. But regardless, I must say that the new map needs to have some sort of water. We already have a stream here, so I absolutely want to see a river. I absolutely want to see a lake. and I absolutely want to see a waterfall, although that would be a bonus. Like, I still want to see it. I think that'd be very, very cool. And then some sort of mechanics to support more water. Hell, we got ponds out of nowhere. I never thought we would see ponds. I thought it would just be, hey, I've added lakes to a new map, and that would be what it would be. So at least the fishing pond thing adds lakes and like water to the base game, the base map. And I hope maybe this map would somehow be reworked in the future, where there'd be an early access version of this map that you could always go back and play. Maybe an updated version of this map that is larger and different, but yet very much the same. Feels like the same, but maybe bigger with different territory. And then, of course, a whole new map. That would be just outstanding, just amazing. Just blow your mind with its beauty. And honestly, Manor Lords, Ostreave, and Farthest Frontier, 3 games where I hate to cut down the trees and I hate to build because I disturb the beauty of the nature of what the game has, like for its natural trees and stuff. But hey, that's what humanity does. That's what we all gonna do. So all in all, I know everybody's excited for a new Manor Lords update. I don't know when this map will come out, but the new maps, I don't know, 1, if it'll be 1 map, 2, if it'll be 10 maps, or when it's coming out. But I think what will happen is we'll be seeing some other things added before the new map comes out. Before there's any sort of more news on a new map. Well, there will be news on a new map, but before we get a chance to like play anything with a definitive date, there will probably be more updates that feature other things like more livestock or reworks to farming or spoilage or new military units or some sort of new military structure or something that is just way different than the map. So I think we'll have a different beta to a different update. Then that update will come out, and then I think maybe we'll see some new maps. That's all speculation. That's just me guessing at the timeline. And if I'm wrong, good. And if Greg needs more time and says, hey guys, you know what, I'm not going to be updating anything for a while, I want to break things down and build it all over again, good. Greg has done an incredible job of following his dream to make this game and putting in all those years of work, and I got to stand by somebody who does that. There are left and right all these octuple A, triple A, quadruple A games that are just like C minus D quality. But when somebody comes in with a B plus game and a dream, and they put their blood, sweat, tears into it and ask everybody else what they think, and people come along and want to help to make something better, that's what I want to see, and that's what I want to be a part of. And more things in life need to have that, where everybody wants to get a hand in, everybody's voice is essentially heard, and everybody's okay if things are not possible to do, and continue to suggest ideas and feel welcome to do that. That is what makes a better game, and that's what made this a good game. Greg probably was listening to a lot of other people's feedback during development, hence the early alpha testers, and this is what we got from it. Not the best game ever, but it surely is the best game ever. Hey, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. That's all I'm saying. All right, everybody. Well, that is it for our little, hey, we need to talk about a new map at Manor Lords and what could be coming soon for that, or at least what I absolutely want to see in a new map. But let me know down below in the comments section, what do you think of this current map? What do you want to see in it? What's not great with this map, or what could be different? And what could we see in different maps? Do you want to see like a permanent, I don't know, winter map or something crazy? Do you want to see a desert? Do you want to, I don't know. You tell me down below. There's really no wrong answers for that. You want Candyland? Sure. I don't think Greg will put it in, but you can dream and wish for it all you want. Hey. That's up to you. That's between you and the big man, and that's Greg. All right, I'll see you all next time. Thanks again for watching, folks. Again, do leave a like on this video so more people can find it and get the news out on the Manor Lords update, and also to start the discussion down below in the comments section. And Greg and the publisher and other people might want to use this as a good jumping off point to start and continue that discussion, which I'm sure they already have. But hey, all good feedback will help. So definitely try your best to give me a paragraph on what you think, or at least say hi down below in the comments section. All right, thank you again for all your support. Thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.